Spend a couple minutes talking about this chapter 5. I'm not going to go through all the slides. You can read the chapter certainly, but the idea of and consideration of ethical issues that have to do with market research are very important. If for no other reason, then we want to protect the participants in the study and not use their information for nefarious reasons and things like that. Now, sometimes it's hard for the researcher to know these things, but just understand that we want to exercise care and due diligence in this regard, because the last thing you want to do is get sued. Not all companies that conduct research do so for scrupulous reasons, and so you want to pay attention to this. Be careful who you work for. If your boss is kind of shifty and not trustworthy, and things start to have a funny smell to them, research-wise, you might want to back up a little bit and assess what's going on. Anyway, let me just pick a few things to talk about here. But these are the learning outcomes that are in the chapter. Do the results support? What should a researcher do if the results of the study do not support what management wants? This is a really good question, because this does happen. I mean, you're sitting in a meeting and everybody, including your boss, says this is a great idea, and you know for a fact this is a bad idea. Do you raise your hand and say, boss, all of you are wrong, I'm right, this needs to stop here? That's a tough situation to be in. I'm telling you, what you should do likely is make your voice heard and just play devil's advocate. But that's not always. It's easy to say. That's harder to do, especially when you're, the new person, let's say, or, the company leadership really wants this, and they want to be right. It's hard. Bad ideas get momentum just like good ideas. Another question to consider is, who does the research? Do you do internal or external? Well, typically market research is done by experts, or at least it should be to some degree, because it's an involved process, and you don't want to. The worst thing to happen is get research data or findings that everybody's all happy, and you don't know that it's not good data. It's not correct. It overemphasizes one thing at the expense of another. It's just misleading, but you don't know it. It's way better to have no information and know you have none than to have information that's dead or bad or in error and not know it, because it's like drinking poisoned water that you don't know it's poisoned. You might be really thirsty, you might hit the spot, but it's a high price to pay. So internal, external, it's the classic question of outsourcing. There's advantages, disadvantages to both, and they list those here. The answer to the question is, both of these are right answers given the right set of circumstances. This is why real thought needs to be put into this decision. Probably one of the biggest reasons people go in-house is because it's cheaper. You've got your own people doing your own thing, but there's trade-offs. That's like any business. Any decision's got trade-offs. Going to an outside agency, you might have more skills, more specialized skills for sure. Probably going to cost you more. Might not. It might be quicker, but it just depends. How involved the study is and things like that. But again, this is what management should do: is make decisions like this that are well thought out, well considered. And this is where you as an MBA come in, or should come in. Large marketing firms got a lot of resources, but remember, you're not the only client. So it might be shared, and you lose control of things, or it's possible to do that. That's why you want to have really informed marketing people dealing with marketing agencies. So, because what they're going to ask you, the first thing they ask you is, well, who's your market? What are your goals? The same things you're going to do when you talk to your client and your project. You're going to want to hammer that home in infinite detail. Okay. Conflict in management, senior management. So research that implies criticism of what a senior manager, executive VP does, because we're going to research this area because it's not going well. People get touchy about that. money. This is expensive. Why is this costing us so much? Why is it taking so long? Sometimes people consider their intuition to be just fine. We don't need to do this research, when in fact it's a bad idea. It's dumb. Heck, I watched a video recently, or a documentary about Henry Ford, a Ford Motor Company, and was convinced that they never needed to upgrade the Model T. Nobody wanted it in another color besides black, and no improvements needed to be made. They just needed to make more of them and make them cheaper. Well, anybody with any marketing sense knows that will last for only so long until a competitor comes up with a differentiated product that's equally good but gives them more choices or more closely fits the needs or the wants of the target market. Now your Model T is in trouble. Could have a fantastic run, sold millions, but nothing lasts forever. Future decisions based on past experience, that's great, but that's sometimes that past experience, while it always has value, but if conditions change, that's why real management, real senior leadership should be concerned with a holistic view and not worry so much about their own image or pride or things like that. Now, that's easy to say, tough to pull off, because a lot of senior management sink good companies because of bad decision making. Okay. Ways to reduce conflict. This is why this is a really good chapter. Work closely, with senior management. Have formal job descriptions. Communicate findings and designs. That communication goes a long way. And leadership. This is where real leadership comes in. It's not the rah-rah stuff. It's where the senior manager, the CEO, says this needs to be done and here's why, and they communicate it. They're not in a necessarily a confrontational manner, but just say, hey, you're not doing a bad job. We just need to get to the bottom of this in order to make more informed decisions, because it seems as though this is slipping away. It's hard to avoid those inference that you might be lacking in some shape, manner, or form. So that's real maturity, when you can accept those things and go with it. So again, this is what leadership is supposed to do. They're supposed to lead. I am a big believer in cross-functional teams, because you get a bigger perspective, a more rounded perspective, and I think that helps a bunch. Your teams for this project, as best I can, are put together in a cross-functional manner. So use that to your advantage. Okay, ethical issues, exchanging sensitive data with other companies, selling data, using it unfairly to influence individuals. I mean, social media is rife with questions about the ethics of business research and things like that, and it's not going to go away. Relativism and idealism, the two things to consider. If there's money to be made, sometimes practicality trumps idealism. We're here to serve the market better. They're doing it for our own good. That's why when you sign a user agreement for Facebook or any social media, it's about 50 pages long. Nobody reads it. But essentially, they've got access to all your data forever and ever. They can do with it as they please. And you signed it because it's free, and you don't really notice it. But everybody's being tracked. I'm not trying to make you paranoid or anything, but if you get a chance, take you maybe an hour, read the book, George Orwell, called 1984. And you get a taste for Orwellian thought and what that means. And Big Brother's watching. It's all possible. It happens. Okay, I think this is far as I need to go in describing what this chapter is about. But do read it. It's excellent. It's a very practical chapter. It might not seem that it applies directly to your project, but trust me, these are questions that sink careers or make careers fly. So. Do your best and persevere. Take care.